I mean, all hell is breaking loose in Washington, D.C., folks. President Trump is asking the Justice Department's Inspector General now to look into the key Russia-related documents that he had just ordered declassified. The president tweeted this by way of explanation, saying, quote, "I met with the DOJ concerning the declassification of various unredacted documents. They agreed to release those documents, but stated that so doing may have a perceived negative impact on the Russia probe. Also, key allies called to ask not to release. Therefore, the Inspector General has been asked to review these documents on an expedited basis. I believe he will move quickly on this and hopefully other things which he's looking at. In the end, I can always declassify it if it proves necessary. Speed is very important to me and everyone." The president never spoke more correctly than speed is important when it comes to this. Joining us now, Chris Farrell. He's the Director of Investigations for Judicial Watch. Great to have you with us. Thanks so much, Chris. And Greg Jarrett, Fox legal analyst, author of the New York Times bestseller, The Russia Hoax. Congratulations on the book and your persistent sales effort that is reaping great success. And it's great to have you here. Chris, I want to start with you. This New York Times report on Rosenstein, who has played the villain in this piece for quite some time, and many, and I think probably you foremost among them, arguing that appropriately so. Rosenstein now looks to be in serious trouble based on these anonymous sources reported by the New York Times.
Well, of course, you can't believe the New York Times, and we're in the same boat with Rosenstein because you can't believe him. And he had a very carefully worded...
Is that a double negative, Chris Farrell?
It is, but you have a very carefully worded non-denial denial by Rosenstein. Look, this is sufficient grounds, and the president really doesn't need cause. He can just fire him at will. But there's now a mounding evidence of enough's enough. The president's lost faith and confidence in Mr. Rosenstein, and he can say, look, it's time to turn the page. Interestingly, Matt Apuzzo is the author, or one of the authors of that New York Times article, and starting in 2016, he was sort of the FBI's favorite designated hitter when it came to leaks out of the FBI.
Go-to for FBI leaks.
Precisely. So there may be a little palace intrigue within DOJ and FBI in that regard. And, of course, some offer that maybe this is a provocation to make Mr. Trump fire Rosenstein and, in some way cause a crisis. Well, I don't buy that.
I know that's one of the theories abroad, and neither siding with it or rejecting it. To me, this looks like a very clear statement, Greg Jarrett, that shows just how corrupt the incipient origin of the special counsel, the witch hunt, really was. This is the man who wrote the memo, Rod Rosenstein, that recommended firing James Comey, and then who wants to turn on the president of the United States at the same time as when he is ordering the creation of the special counsel and naming that special counsel. This is a man so deeply conflicted, and if we were to believe the New York Times report, acting erratically, behavior extraordinary, conduct despicable, and here he is. And the question has to be, what does this say about the special counsel that he created?
Once in a leap year, the New York Times actually gets it right. I think they got it right this time. And I tweeted out that Rosenstein should be fired immediately. I've said that many times before.
Time, I should point out.
How many times have I said that? But it's true, and there's a great many reasons I've written about Rod Rosenstein and why he should have been fired a long time ago. I also tweeted out that because he oversees the Robert Mueller special counsel investigation, and this is yet more evidence of Rosenstein's incredible virulent bias against Trump, that the entire...
This is more than bias. This looks to be, if not treason, about as close to it as you can get without.
The point is that he has tainted the special counsel investigation, which should now be promptly terminated because of this. It's not just Rosenstein, but the conflicts of interest of Robert Mueller that he's ignored with impunity, Andrew Weissman's misconduct, Peter Strzok's misconduct, all involved in the initial FBI investigation as well as this special counsel probe. It has been corrupted and tainted so that nobody can have confidence in the results.
Chris Farrell, do you agree?
Absolutely. Greg has nailed it, and he summarized it beautifully. And, you know, what does Rosenstein have to do to get fired? I mean, how far does he have to go? He's involved in what appears to be, I mean, we don't have definitive evidence, but what appears to be really a seditious conspiracy. I mean, it's a crime. And all the details that Greg just laid out concerning his disqualification, his conflicts of interest, he's a fact witness in the underlying question that supposedly Mueller's looking at. How can this continue? What does he have to do to get fired?
It's a grand question, and I've asked Chris Farrell and Greg Jarrett to stay with me throughout the next 2 hours as we cover this breaking story and so many others right now, including the Judge Kavanaugh confirmation hearing. We have learned, for example, that at 10 p.m. we'll know whether or not the new deadline set by Chuck Grassley, the chair of the Senate Judiciary Committee, for the accuser to actually confirm whether or not she will testify. We will know that, and if apparently, if she does not act, there will be a vote on the confirmation of the president's choice to go to the high court, Judge Brett Kavanaugh. That'll come Monday. Greg, your thoughts on the way in which he has been treated in this confirmation process?
Horribly. You know, look, nobody knows what really happened, which is why it is abhorrent that United States senators have predetermined and prejudged who's guilty and who's innocent here. They should wait until we hear it from the lips of the accuser as well as the accused. I hope it happens on Monday. We'll have to wait and see.
In this, Chris Farrell, it seems to me the accuser is in the role of the prosecutor, the complainant, and her attorney is saying the burden of proof is on Judge Kavanaugh. His guilt or innocence is to be determined by an accuser who has not put forward details, specifics, and an attorney who claims that she had no responsibility to corroborate the story, by a sitting senator, the ranking Democrat on the Judiciary Committee, Dianne Feinstein, who held a letter of accusation for 7 weeks and did not take a single step to find out whether or not it was truthful or not, and who, in fact, disavowed any responsibility for the truthfulness of the accuser. This is an extraordinary moment and deeply, deeply unfair, it seems to me, to Judge Kavanaugh and the integrity of the entire confirmation process.
The abusive process here, you know, initially there was a reaction to, well, this is really just kind of a circus. That actually trivializes this. This is a deeply corrosive attack on the Constitution. This is a coordinated, sort of predetermined effort to undermine the advice and consent requirements under the Constitution. And the actors in this, people like Feinstein and others, have used reckless language, have deliberately sabotaged the procedure, and they are doing so, you know, just to score their own political objectives and gains. If you extracted all the personalities from this and just look at how the entire process has been really perverted and twisted, it's a sin against the Constitution and the American public. It is an outrageous abuse.